Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I'm your sister Fatima Barkatulla, and these are 10 things I used on my children's Qur'an journey. A very good primer of Qur'an, or Qa'idah as we call it, is absolutely essential for a child's Qur'an journey, and it's probably the first step really. This is a very simple one. You can see it's in black and white. There's no pictures, there's nothing shiny in there. But essentially, a qa'idah is going to give your child all of the building blocks they need before they start reading the Qur'an. So it goes from alif, ba, ta, the alphabet, to the vowels, and then joining letters to sentences, right to the point where a child can start reading the Qur'an. Now there's different types of qa'idahs you can get. These are actually the actual ones I used with my children. As you can see, I've even still got their stickers in there. I preferred these ones because they were so simple and because there were no distractions in them, right? So for a younger child, I feel like black and white and keeping it really simple is really good. There are also other qa'idahs that you can get. Nowadays you have more colorful versions. All of these are good. And I actually recommend that parents go through 2 qa'idahs, if possible, before moving on to reading the Qur'an. Because the more the foundations are firm with your child, so the more your child is used to reading different combinations of letters and different words before they go on to the actual Mushaf, the actual copy of Qur'an, the easier they're going to find reading the Qur'an when they get to it. So I think really take your time with the qa'idah. Don't rush it. 10 minutes a day is what I used to do. But yeah, these qa'idahs were absolutely essential.
This is a phone, a clock, a camera, a compass, a notepad, even a studio. We share pics and we make calls. But imagine it could be even more than that. Your teacher that corrects you and reminds you, who makes sure you never make the same mistake again. Memorization mistake detection from Tarteel, the smart way to memorize the Qur'an.
One of the things I used with my kids constantly was a whiteboard and pens. This is the actual whiteboard I used with my kids. And the purpose of the whiteboard is, sometimes you have certain words, certain letters, certain phrases that they're struggling with. Instead of getting them to read it in the qa'idah itself, what you want to do is take their attention away onto a whiteboard and write the letters out, and then get them to understand, how to join them and things like that. One of the things, for example, you could do is get them to use a red or another color pen to put in the harakat, fatha, damma, kasra, or the sukoon, right? And practicing phrases and words in the Qur'an like that can really embed in their minds what those words are and how to read them, so that when they're stuck, instead of just going over the same lesson again in the qa'idah, you're taking them away and getting them to really break it down and think about it separately. And I found that to be really good for reinforcing and for practicing. So when they write, it also stays in their brains longer. It makes it more kind of solid in their minds. Flashcards, you might think that these are unnecessary, but for me, these were invaluable. Flashcards of the most oft repeated words in the Qur'an. So there's like 90 odd words that are the most repeated words in the Qur'an. If you can get your child to learn these words, and they're like sight words, so as soon as they see them, they're like alladhi. Instead of having to sound it out in the Mushaf, they get used to just seeing this and just knowing this is alladhi, seeing this and saying allati, haulai, etc. What you'll find is when they move from the qa'idah to the Mushaf, the transition is much smoother, because instead of now sitting there trying to figure out what every single phrase is, certain phrases, the ones that are most repeated, they'll just know them upon sight. It improves their flow. So I really found flashcards like these invaluable. The main thing that these did was increase the child's confidence when they move on to the Qur'an, because sometimes children, they lose their confidence when they feel like they're going too slowly, when they feel like every single word is like an obstacle. But when they see words that are very familiar and they get their flow, then it really makes Qur'an time more fun, more interesting, more like they're succeeding. You can look up what the most oft repeated words in the Qur'an are and make your own flashcards if you want. Or you can actually download these as a PDF from Learning Roots, the Learning Roots website. And if you do that, you can print them and cut them out and they're ready to go. One of the most important things you're going to need on your child's Qur'an journey is, of course, a copy of the Qur'an. And one of the things that I really like to do was to take my children on a shopping trip where they got to choose their own personal copy of the Qur'an. Obviously, I guided them. Usually, I liked them to have a slightly larger Mushaf, one where the letters are bigger, especially for younger children. It makes it easier for them to be able to read. I personally chose an Uthmani Mushaf. There are like South Asian print Mushafs as well. It really doesn't matter. It really depends on what's going to be most useful for your child. It's a personal choice, really. Let your child have a sense of ownership. And I think that was really important for my children, for them to feel like this is my personal Mushaf that I read and that I use. This item was really important in my family, and that is a Qur'an stand, or as it's known in Arabic, Hamil Mushaf. And it's essentially a book stand, but we're living in a time of lack of focus. People, and especially our children, it's really hard for them to focus. But I just found that having a Hamil Mushaf, a Qur'an stand, placing their Qur'an copy on it, them sitting on one side, me sitting on the other side, helped them to focus. Just created a nice little space, no matter what was happening in the rest of the room, for my child be comfortable and be able to focus on their Qur'an reading. One of the things my kids loved when they were younger is stickers. And I'm sure if you're a parent, you know that kids love stickers. And so stickers were also a part of my children's huffadh journey. You could have very simple stickers like these stars, or more elaborate, interesting stickers that kids love. And the way I'd use these stickers is, with the stars, for example, I could stick them straight into their Qa'idah at the point where they'd finish reading. So it was like a little mini prize for them, a mini reward, or give it to them and ask them to stick it. Make my own or print my own simple chart with the surahs that they were memorizing, for example, the du'as they were memorizing. And I'd use the stickers to mark that they had completed memorizing that surah, especially in Juz Amma, the 30th part of the Qur'an, with the short surahs. Having that kind of positive association with each of the little milestones that they'd reach, even on a daily basis, was something that my children looked forward to. It made Qur'an time fun. It made them have that little sense of achievement. They get to have these special stickers. Yeah, I think stickers are a great way to get kids to really start achieving their daily goals and feeling they're getting rewarded with something little along the way. If your kids are a bit older and they're beyond stickers, then of course they could use the Tarteel app. Kids nowadays, they have their own tablets, or maybe they've got their own phones, etc. And the Tarteel app can actually help you as a parent to keep track of where your child has reached. You can set goals within the app and then get them to reach those goals, track those goals. When they practice, if they made some mistakes, the Tarteel app can tell you, where their weaknesses are, so that you can then save time and focus on their mistakes. So yeah, the Tarteel app is also a resource you can use for tracking. One of the things that was really important was a cushion or a comfortable place for my children to sit when having their Quran time. You know, in our times, our children are so distracted, they're just running all over the place, especially younger children. And what you want is when it's Quran time, they know that there's a fixed place, a comfortable cushion, maybe a special cushion of their own, where they sit and they have the rihal in front of them, the Mushaf or the Qa'idah in front of them, and they can focus again, be comfortable, and just get on with their Quran reading. Then afterwards you can move it, you can remove it, and they can carry on with their play. But what happens is over time they start associating that cushion, that spot, or that fixed place with their Quran, whether it's reading, memorizing, or practicing. At regular intervals, I would give my children gifts, prizes, rewards to incentivize the Quran journey. Our children, they see other children, they themselves at school, receive prizes for different achievements, different things they achieve. And so when it comes to Quran, they should also have those positive associations. I'm always emphasizing positive associations because if you think about it, our childhoods are full of negative and positive associations. And the things that we associate positivity with and that we've had a positive experience with, that was celebrated and we were rewarded for, and that was noticed when we were children, is usually the things that we lean into, the things that we're most proud of. So I think it's really important as a parent, as our children reach different milestones. So for example, when they finish reading the Qa'idah, you want to give them a prize of some sort. When they're starting to read the Qur'an, that's a really big deal. When they finish reading the first juz of Qur'an, or when they memorize certain surahs of the Qur'an, when they finish memorizing juz amma, these are different milestones at which you want to, at regular intervals, give your children rewards, prizes. Maybe there's something that they really want, and you could say, well, once you reach that milestone, I'm going to get you that as a reward. Not only is it to motivate them, but it's for them to have positive memories. When they think of Quran, they think of positivity, they think of love, they think of you and how you celebrated each of their milestones. It's really important to celebrate your child's wins. So when they reach the end of Qa'idah, when they reach the end of reading Quran or memorizing Quran, have a party, give them an award, let them really feel that this milestone means something really important. I remember the day when my son graduated from his hifth, and it was really an opportunity for family, friends, scholars, elders in the community to get together to celebrate that this child has reached this important milestone, that this is something that our community cares about and that it matters. I think especially living in countries sometimes where these things aren't celebrated, it's really important for our kids to feel that this is really important, this really matters, this is something I've achieved and it's something I'm going to carry for the rest of my life that really means something.
If you benefited from that video, do subscribe to Tarteel's YouTube channel and leave a comment below.